Baltimore and WNST.net. Monitoring everything in the sports world this week. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals going on. I'm rooting against Pittsburgh, trying to, stab little Sidney Crosby voodoo dolls. And then we have the NBA going on as well in the land of Cleve. The Cavaliers trying to bring folks in Cleveland the rarest of rare things. A parade, Golden State and the baby-faced assassin, amongst others, in the way out in the land of Oak. We welcome in from Cleveland one of our defending champions, one of our dear friends here in this crazy sports media environment. He is Mark Munch Bishop, longtime sports talk show host, now 35-plus years. He won't say what the plus equals up to. He is at Munch on Sports out on Twitter, and it's always great to catch up with Munch, especially when I can needle him about the possibility of a parade. What will you people complain about if you actually get a parade in 2 weeks, Munch?
Oh, I guarantee you they'll find something. By the way, Nestor, it is at Munch Cleveland on Twitter.
At Munch Cleveland. My bad. Okay.
The Brainiacs at Twitter, and I'm a big fan. When at Munch on Sports got hacked, since I had an intern start that file for me umpteen years ago, probably not umpteen, but 5 or 6, I had no idea what email he started it under, so since we couldn't prove that, they would not change it for me. So the bottom line is, hey, we're still up and rocking at Munch Cleveland. I'm glad you know Cleveland, because even today, even after the victory in Game 6, people are complaining. In fact, my first 2 phone calls, you ready for this? Saying, hey, Munch, would you trade for Phillies number 1 in the draft? And my jaw hit the counter, in the broadcast room in the studio.
That's why I don't take phone calls anymore. I cannot deal with that.
And the second call was, would you have made the Wiggins, the Love trade? In fact, 30 general managers in the NBA would have made the trade. It's bizarre, and these are my people. That's what drives me crazy more than anything else. They refuse to enjoy the ride. Now, some of the more lucid ones will say, hey, the scars run so deep. But it's like, no, man, come on. Scars heal over time. You got to get over it. You got to get rid of it. Why can't you enjoy the ride? You are 4 games away from your first championship since 1964, Nestor.
Well, let's assess that first championship and the possibilities. Look, we got together this time last year, and it looked like an uphill battle. It looked like one man against one pretty good team last year. This year, the other team has been ungodly, otherworldly most of the year. And as I've said, a lot of people lost a lot of money last week betting against the Golden State Warriors in games 5, 6, and 7, Munch.
Well, here's what's interesting. It shows you metal. It also shows you that Oklahoma City just was not ready. I mean, come on, Nestor, especially in Game 6 at home, they went into the fetal position. But the bottom line is Golden State wins. Golden State will push the limits to anything they want. In fact, why do you think Draymond Green's doing what he's doing? Because he hasn't been called yet. I guarantee you, the second he gets called for, either the tossing down Steven Adams for, planting kicks 2 games in a row to the Jules, the family Jules, the boys of, Mr. Adams too. It's like, as soon as he gets called on one of those, then he will stop. And you know what? Let's hope they call soon, because I'm not a big fan of, I like the physical play, but no, you got to stop short of somebody getting injured.
What do you love about the Cavaliers this year? Obviously, health would be one of the issues that makes it more possible that they're going to have a parade in 10 days here.
Well, you know what, brother? Number one, and this was something I was incredulous to, when David Blatt was let go, because here they pushed 6 games to the Warriors last year with 40% of their starting lineup out. Here they're in first place, off to a great start to the year. But David Griffin, the GM, saw something, Nestor, and you're thinking, well, these are highly paid pros. You know what he saw? They were not having fun. You're saying, "Much you have fun when you play?" Hell, yes, you do. For the millions of dollars you get, oh, sure, you're intense, and sure, your game face. But, Nestor, I was leading the charge most of the year that I didn't see Tyler do a bit of coaching. So maybe he was ready for the real season, which is called the playoffs. There were times on the game I was saying, okay, dude, make an adjustment, make a change, do something different. He did not. But I'll tell you what, so far in the playoffs, he has been stellar, and he has had the guys since a big team meeting after they lost to the Nets March 24th. That seemed to turn the season around. It was a meeting that David Blatt could not have had. And if you've heard the rumors, Nestor, they're exactly true. In one of the early round playoff games, Tyler was talking. LeBron James took the talk over him. Tyler looked at him and said, "Shut the blank up. I've got this handle." And I could never see Blatt saying that to LeBron.
Well, okay, I mean, and LeBron kind of runs the show, and kind of famously, the last time they got together and lost, Cleveland went and changed the coach. I mean, that's how devastating that loss was. Maybe there were 3 seasons for the Cavaliers, right? Before the firing, after the firing, and now the playoffs, where things have, for the most part, and you always want them to dispatch of teams in 3 games in best-of-7 series, right? Which is impossible, but they've played as well as I think you could hope for them to play. And I think the confidence level higher than it's been.
Brother, you know what? Right today, it is there. It is confident, not cocky. Cocky thinks you could do it. But here's something else. They go to Toronto. And, of course, Kevin Love has been the whipping boy of the team. People talk about how poorly he played, especially in Game 4, how poorly Kyrie played, although Kyrie came alive in the fourth. Shows you that a home court advantage means something. But one man that was left unscathed was Tristan Thompson. Now, he's not going to be a scoring giant for you, but he's a guy that has to get rebounds, especially offensive rebounds, because the offensive rebounds, like a first down in football, keeps you with the ball, keeps you entertained without the ball, and you can eat up some clock, which is always a good thing. Whether you're ahead and if you're behind, well, offensive rebounds help you score again.
Well, there's so many storylines going on here, and, for me, the storyline would be Cleveland winning and LeBron finishing what he started. Is it cautious optimism on the part of the Cavaliers fans at this point? And by the way, have you made any bold predictions? I mean, from the outside, I looked at the Warriors and I watched them play all year long. I know there's been a stumble. Obviously, Curry had the injury a couple of series ago that made them look a little bit more vulnerable. I feel like this is trending the wrong way for Cleveland, just the fact that the Warriors got there and won 3 games in a row. I would not bet against the Warriors right now, Munch, and I'm not even giving you a hard time or busting your chops here about the Cleveland thing. I have a concern that Cleveland's going to be disappointed again right around Game 5 or 6.
Well, you know what? Number one, I understand totally what you're saying. This is a defending champs. This is a team that knows how to win. You have 2 guys on this team. Look at the other night. Look at the last game in Oakland. They are down 13. You blink your eye, they're up 11. I could do the rudimentary math on that. That's 20 stuff, maybe the MVP, but the Cavaliers still have the best player in the game today. And that is LeBron James. His game has changed, but something else, too, and you would have seen it in Game 5 in Cleveland. The introduction to the NBA is part of the show now, with
sure.
the screaming, the yelling. When they came out for Game 5, and you're a little bit younger than me, I remember the old Knickerbocker teams with Bradley, DeBusschere, Reed, Monroe, Frazier. They would come out. They would stand, put their hands behind their back and stand erect. The next guy would come out, tap the other guy on the side, put his hands behind his back. The Cavaliers came out similar to that in Game 5 after losing 2 in Toronto, and they had scowls on their faces. You know what it was like? They just saw somebody make it out with their girlfriend in high school, okay, who they took to the homecoming dance, and they were not going to be denied.
The rest that Cleveland has had, probably not a bad thing, right? I mean, they entered this thing last year wounded and not rested. This time, if there's something to be said for having a few days off and chilling a little bit, Cleveland's had an easier path through this and much more quietly during the regular season. The Warriors were kind of rock stars in every gym they walked into when they were chasing that record.
There's no doubt. Here's something else. People say, oh, it's going to be rusty. This team is full of professional basketball. Maybe the rust is gone in 34.
What would it mean and what
any parade is acceptable. However, you are wiser than you even know. Even the last time around, even last year in the finals, started getting excited, started getting a buzz. The last times around, people were still, this is during the playoffs, people were still calling to talk Browns. Because we have a show on our air from 1 to 3, 2 hours a day, 52 weeks a year talking Cleveland Browns. It's about time the Cavaliers are forefront right now. It's Cavs. Browns, Indians, Cavs. And everywhere you go in the city, Nestor, and I love it. I know you saw the same thing with the Ravens when they were doing their thing through the playoffs, and years ago with the Birds. Everywhere you go in the city, whether it's businessmen in suit and ties, they're wearing all-in pins, or they've got their Cavalier caps on, whether it's people at rib cook-offs, it's Memorial Day weekend. I'd say 70, 80% of the people in some way, shape, or form are wearing Cavaliers gear. So good for the city. buildings are lit up with the floors, with the lights saying "Go Cavs" and signs everywhere. No, there's Cavs fever. Everybody here is a believer. I'm back on this. When I made the call back in October, and it wasn't because I'm a Cleveland homer and show, which I am, but back in October, I said the Cavs will win it all. I was much maligned throughout the whole season, especially when you lost to the Brooklyns of the world. But I broke it down, and I looked at this team, and I said, there's no way that they're not going to win it all. But the bottom line is, I thought early on that if the Cavaliers are going to the finals and lose, the season would be an abject failure. Now I'm not going to say that for the excitement, for what they brought to town. Now, if they got swept in 4, I would say it's an abject failure. I will say I will be horribly disappointed. I won't lose sleep. I'll be crying. To win it all, bro.
Well, I think in a year where the Warriors were so dominant but then looked vulnerable, I think if the Warriors would have just blown through, if they would have seen San Antonio and dispatched of them in 5 games, they didn't have to see them, and they almost lost to Oklahoma City that everybody thought was an inferior team all year long. I think the pressure of chasing that thing in the same way, Munch, that we saw New England chasing that 16-0, something that maybe got to Carolina last year at 15-1. Those teams, the Capitals this year, my man. I'm a hockey guy. The Capitals did ungodly things at different points this year. They look like one of the best teams ever, and by the way, they're not playing right now. So Golden State came very, very close, and the fact that they were tested, the fact that they had, got pushed to the brink, I think it makes them look vulnerable. I think it makes Cleveland look a little more disappointed if they were to lose. I think if you would have said to me in February, well, Cleveland's going to lose in 4 or 5 games in the finals to Golden State, I would have said, well, of course they are. Golden State's, whatever they were, 61-6 at the time or whatever it was. But now, Golden State didn't look so good in the playoffs, and I think they look a little more vulnerable, and I think that that's brought hopes up amongst your community that you're not facing some giant that can't be defeated here. I think the door is open on health, on rest, on the way LeBron has played here through the playoffs, on the way that Golden State has not played by and large, sort of limping into these finals, gives your people more hope. And I think it will be a massive disappointment. How often are you going to be on the brink? And, and I talked to you about this a couple of months ago. You start to think, well, we've seen the best of their, if they get to the finals in 18 or 19, you'll have an older version. I mean, I would say to you, the time is now. I mean, it really is. The time is now to win this thing.
It certainly is. And, you look at the team, Javon Chow, there are guys on the bench. Richard Jefferson has discovered the fountain of youth. By the way, not like Marlon Byrd of the Indians who just got caught using some PEDs, but it's been a good fountain of youth for Richard Jefferson. He is playing hard. He is playing tough. Yeah. This is the
time. And the fact that they look vulnerable at home, Cleveland kind of needs to see that. I mean, you need to see Golden State get beat badly at home to feel like you can actually do it, because the Cavaliers have, by and large, not played well against the Warriors one-on-one.
No, they have not. In fact, whether it's regular season, whether it's playoffs, they have struggled. There's no doubt about that. But remember, something in their mind, too. And they're not just writing it down and packing it in and showing up. They realized, though, last year, they did not win it. They're not making excuses. There was a fact that they win 6 games, and most of the games are very, very competitive with 40% of their starting lineup in. And the sad thing last year, because he's a guy that's the heart and soul of his team, J.R. Smith, J.R. has proven that he cannot be your second option. If he's your 3rd, 4th, or 5th, watch out. Actually, 4th or 5th more for J.R., and that's what the Cavs had to rely on last year. Yeah, you said it to start this little session off. It was LeBron against the Warriors last year, and that was no lie in any way, shape, or form.
He is Munch Cleveland, Mark Munch Bishop, my longtime friend out in the land of Cleve. You can follow his journey out on Twitter, and he's everywhere that radio takes you these days. It's certainly a lot of fun to listen to. Backtracking off of basketball, last weekend, the Orioles went out there, and, I mean, it was obviously Cavaliers fever even when you saw the baseball game. I saw Cavaliers stuff, throughout the stands. One of the games went concurrent with the Orioles game at the same time up in Toronto as they were wrapping things up there. The Indians look to be an improved lot. They look to be a pretty good baseball team right now, Munch. I mean, even if this Cavs thing doesn't work out, the Indians are okay, and I saw some signs of life there from the Jake.
Brother, I think the Indians will be right there because they play their best ball under Francona in August and September, and they're actually playing decent ball now. They usually struggle the first 2 months of the season. Now we're into the 3rd month. I've got to see something else, too, because I don't know how they perceived in Baltimore. But here you have Ubaldo Jimenez pitching, and the Indians roughed him up pretty good. There were a few C&I hits, and there were, 4 errors that would unnerve anybody. But people here, this is another example of my land of Cleve, okay? As the village heading up the village of idiots here is that,
you said it, I didn't, by the way. But
and again, I have fun saying that too. Heck, if I can't denigrate myself, who can? You can, because you're my friend. But here you have Ubaldo, who pitched the Indians to it was a wild card, but their only playoff appearance since '07 to this year. All right, now when he did that, and what he was traded for a couple of pugs, White and Pomeranz, and anything the Indians do, people complain. Well, you know what? I felt bad for when he took the mound the other evening. He got booed. You know what? I stood and clapped for the young man because he got us our only whiff of the playoffs lately. I understand that between the ears, this man makes me look sane. But I'll go back to what you're saying, too, about the Tribe. Yeah, it is a much-improved team. We need Carrasco back. I had Carrasco going for the Cy Young this year. Get him back, we'll be in good shape.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lindor is just unbelievable to follow and watch, right? I mean, to have a young player, we have one in Machado here. We're hoping for scope. We're trying to find some pitching. But when you have a young, special player, it's been a little while in Cleveland since you had that kind of player that you put him in the Hall of Very Good right away, right?
You know what, brother? He is a player. And don't get me wrong, Michael Brantley is another one, but he's not flashy. That's why they call him Captain Smooth. He's like, just kind of does it done. There's finally a player, other than a pitcher, on this Indians team that if you're debating whether to go to a ball game or not, you're going to say, you know what? He is worth the price of admission. And Nestor, you're going to love this too. He's a kid who loves playing the game. He's a kid, if he gets thrown out at second, will tap the second baseman, point to the catcher, and yell, good blank and throw, dude. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. He'll even tell guys to slide going into the homie so good. When there's no need to slide, they'll ask him after. And Frankie will say, hey, I just want to make sure they were safe. He loves playing the game. He has fun. I already see some kindredship with him and Kipnis. It's not going to be quite Omar and Robbie Alomar with slinging the leather with the gloves, but they're going to be a pair to reckon with for quite a long time.
The memories of Omar Vizquel, right? Absolutely. Munch, man, I'm going to say this to you, and I hope the next time we talk that you've had your parade. I am not rooting openly against Cleveland. I'm anti-LeBron. I mean, from, what he did to your people there the first time, to me, relatively unforgivable. I know everybody there. It's ancient history. I remember it. So therefore, I support the baby-faced assassin, but I'll say this. If you have a parade, I'm not going to be the guy peeing on your parade. I will be happy for you, Red Guy, Pluto, all your people out there. You know what I mean?
To the point where I started practicing my Second Amendment rights, saying that I don't want LeBron anywhere near the city, at the airport, if indeed he tries to come back. But when he wrote that essay, whether it was him or a ghostwriter or 2-3 people collaborating, had he done something that classy first time around, saying, hey, I'm going to leave for a while. I love you all. You all made me live. It was just totally bizarre what he did. And you know what? I didn't want any part of him. I didn't want him to get hurt. I wanted to lose every freaking game. We had watch parties and we wore the other team's colors during the playoffs. But the essay touched me. And my dad, the old factory worker, taught me, Nestor, is that it takes a lot to apologize, but it takes even more to accept the apology because you were the person wronged. I accepted it, bro.
All right, well, maybe you'll be accepting a parade there. I can't imagine what a parade would look like in Cleveland because I've walked those streets. Even recently for the Springsteen show, I went down to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and checked things out. And, of course, I get to the land of Cleve once a year, whether I want to or not, with the Brownies and the Ravens get together. And, Munch, this will be a rare conversation that you and I have for 20 minutes where I'm not even going to mention the Cleveland Browns. I'm not even going to make you discuss it. I'll call you after the parade and we'll talk about it then. Okay, pal?
You know what, brother? Do I have to? Let's just say that, okay?
You always take my call because that's the kind of guy you are. Hey, man, we'll be following you. Hey, I'll be thinking about you. And honestly,
I have to talk Brown, so that's it. Follow me on Twitter, @MunchCleveland, all right, buddy?
If there comes a point in the next 2 weeks where LeBron's holding that trophy up and the tears are flowing and the confetti's falling, I will think of you first. And I mean that.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much.
Good luck to you, coming from a Baltimore guy. I don't know what else to say, but at least I'm not hating on you out here, okay?
You know, brother, like I told you, I'm a fan of your city, too, for the most part. Some of the people not, but your city I love. Take care.
Begins with the Models. I know with you. There he goes. It is Munch Cleveland out on Twitter. He is Mark Munch Bishop, sports radio host out on Twitter. Good dude. Great basketball finals ahead for us. For anybody that loves watching some basketball this time, I think the ratings will be through the roof for this one. And I'll be watching between my Orioles and trying to hate on the Penguins. I've been doing that for 20 years, and what good has it gotten me to be down on Pittsburgh at this point? A little bit of satisfaction once and again. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio about 24 hours a day. Anywhere in the world, we go, you go out there. You can also find me nasty at WNST.net. We've been streaming live on our YouTube WNST channel. We're working on the Facebook Live thing, and we're always out there on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere you are, we are. WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.